Have you ever wondered why the church seems so irrelevant in the lives of people? Why we seem to not be asking the right questions, how we seem to avoid conflict at any cost, how we tend to put the onus of forgiveness on the victim and not the perpetrator? I think that the church in general has done a really bad job of dealing with trauma, especially. We've all experienced varying degrees of trauma in our lives, but unfortunately, the church's answer usually is forgive and forget. Don't say anything about the person who harmed you, and just move past it, get past it, and be the bigger person. If anyone's ever told you that when you're really hurting, that is awful because it forces the victim to just eat all of the pain and while almost feeling isolated because you are the one who can't get past it because you may be the person that's been harmed. And so I think that we as a church deal with forgiveness like a biblical non-disclosure agreement where we obligate the person who is hurt to never talk about it again and do all of the heavy work of forgiveness. And people tell us this all the time. They say, you need to be the bigger person. You need to take the high road. You catch more flies with honey. All kinds of things like this. But when you are hurting and you have been harmed by someone else, that's the last thing you need to hear is the pressure to take on the entire burden of forgiveness or reconciliation. So I think that we as followers of Jesus need to be better at being trauma informed, better at listening, better at allowing people to tell their stories, better about not judging, better about not giving advice, better about just being there, being present so that someone can feel heard and understood. And hopefully that will allow the person to name those who have harmed them and if need be, confront them, and that we should be the kind of people that would support them. And then in doing that, hopefully that would give us the freedom to ask for the forgiveness of those whom we have hurt and to make restitution for what we have done to harm others. I mean, that's a beautiful picture of forgiveness and reconciliation, but we often short circuit it because we make people forgive and forget and take the high road and be the bigger person. But that hardly ever works, especially when you're hurting and you feel isolated and you feel alone and everyone's putting the entire burden of forgiveness on you. And so Cornerstone is a place where we have, many of us, not all of us, but many of us, including myself, have a lot of hurt and anger and confusion about growing up as evangelicals. We are a soft landing spot for ex-evangelicals, people who feel they've been harmed by biblical sexual purity politics and patriarchy and the belittling and minimizing of women and their roles and not listening to the voices of children and making the Bible an idol. I know I always felt terrible about myself because it was just beaten into me that if you don't have 30 minutes of quiet time every day, then you just completely stink as a Christian. And that still stays with me a little bit. Hopefully I'll feel freer more and more. But we want this to be a place where you can feel the freedom to deconstruct whatever harmful things that you have experienced in the church, and not just in the church. We hope that this experience of deconstructing evangelicalism will help us at Cornerstone in Plymouth Bethesda be a church that's really sensitive and thoughtful and willing to listen to your traumatic issues and what you've been through, and that together we can be a place of healing and of non-judgmentalism and of warmth and hospitality, and so that we learn to be a group that is truly trauma informed, and we truly are a place where people have a chance to work through their issues, and not only that you have experienced, but that you have caused, and that we can be a place of healing and forgiveness and restoration. But forgiveness is a team sport. It's not just a biblical non-disclosure agreement. It is a team sport where everyone comes together and supports one another and listens. And so if you feel like you've experienced a ton of trauma in your church history or in your life, with or without church. We want you to know that we're not perfect. We're not going to be flawless, but we try really hard to be a place where we listen and where you are important and your voice is important, and you can express your joys and your pain and your traumatic experiences, and also you can be free to be who God has made you to be, and you don't have to feel like you have to conform to any one kind of image here. We just want you to be exactly who God made you to be, and we want you to experience this as a place of freedom where you can engage with God individually, and we don't tell you how to do that. We just point you in the direction and support you and help you find God by listening and being there for you. So give us a try if you've really struggled and you feel like that you're going to give up on church. I hope that you don't. I know I felt that way for a lot of my life, even as a pastor. But I invite you to come and give us the opportunity to be a loving, trauma-informed community, that you can help us and we can help you find healing and wholeness and joy in serving and loving God and one another. Thanks.